Die Fahne hoch mit Mut voran, marschieren die Preußen Mappen, Mann, es gibt niemanden.
Welcome to Nationalist Book Reviews. This channel is dedicated to uncovering and reviewing the books that the modern world wants you to forget, works that defend European identity, national pride, cultural heritage, and the unapologetic truth about our history and our people. Here, we examine the books that helped shape nationalist consciousness and European identity, the ones mainstream historians either ignore or actively try to bury. In our previous session, we examined the life of valet Carl William Krause. Today, we shift our focus to a man whose character was forged far from the halls of power in the rugged landscapes of East Prussia. We are moving into part 2 of Living with Hitler, focusing on the memoirs of Herbert Döhring. Unlike the diplomats or the high-ranking ministers, Döhring was a man of the soil. He came from a traditional hard-working background, and it was that very sense of duty and practical competence that allowed him to rise from the ranks of the SS to become the housekeeper, the Major-domo of the Berghof. For the reader interested in the intersection of traditional German values and the monumental machinery of the state, Döhring is a vital figure. He wasn't just managing a house, he was managing the domestic epicenter of a movement. He saw the Berghof transition from a mountain lodge to a world-class estate, and he did so with the pragmatism of a man who understood that greatness is built on the foundation of order, discipline, and meticulous detail. Let's dive into the life and recollections of Herbert Döhring. To understand the memoirs of Herbert Döhring, you have to understand the man himself. He was not a man of theories or political speeches. He was a man of action and tangible results. Döhring's journey began in a disciplined environment of East Prussia. He wasn't a man of leisure, he was a man of the Leibstandarte, the elite bodyguard division. He earned his place through rigorous training and demonstrated a natural aptitude for precision, even being noted by his superiors as an exceptional shot. This was a man who understood the fundamental requirement of the era, absolute competence. When he was appointed as the housekeeper of the Berghof in 1936, he didn't just take a job, he took command of a massive, evolving estate. He acted as a major-domo, a master of the house. While others were preoccupied with the grand theatre of politics, Döhring was focused on the mechanics of power, ensuring the infrastructure, the staff, and the daily operations functioned with military efficiency. He was a man of ironclad reliability. Whether it was managing the extensive remodeling of the Berghof or navigating the complex social hierarchy of the Obersalzberg, he operated with a sense of duty first. He viewed his role through the lens of a professional. He was there to ensure that the environment of the leadership was stable, orderly, and free from distraction. In Döhring, we see the quintessential archetype of the era, the highly capable, disciplined professional whose quiet, efficient service provided the bedrock upon which the grander movements could operate. Now, looking into the core observations, to understand this sheer scale of the Berghof, one must look through the eyes of the man tasked with its mastery, Herbert Döhring. He did not approach the Obersalzberg as a mere servant, but with the rigorous, disciplined mindset of a man forged in the SS-Leibstandarte. For Döhring, the Berghof was not just a residence, it was a massive, living machine that required absolute synchronization. He functioned as the estate's major-domo, a professional architect of domestic order who transformed a mountain retreat into a world-class seat of power. Because he oversaw every moving part, from the complex ventilation and electronical systems to the precise coordination of the kitchen and staff, his observations carried the weight of a commander. He saw the Berghof through the lens of logistics and precision. He witnessed the monumental transformation of the old Wachenfeld into a sprawling mountain stronghold, managing the influx of thousands of visitors and the arrival of the highest echelons in the Reich with military efficiency. In Döhring's world, there was no room for error, whether it was the seamless execution of a state banquet or the technical management of the estate's expansion. He ensured that the environment reflected the strength and stability of the movement itself. To him, the smooth running of the household was a matter of duty, a vital component in maintaining the dignity and the imposing presence of the Führer's mountain home. Now, focusing on the rhetorical analysis, Döhring's primary rhetorical tool is precision. He does not use the flowery, emotive language of a storyteller. Instead, he employs the factual, clipped, and decisive language of a professional manager. When he describes the expansion of the Berghof or the management of the staff, he uses a matter-of-fact tone. This is calculated rhetorical choice. By stripping away unnecessary embellishment, he reinforces the image of a man who is efficient, reliable, and entirely focused on the successful operation of the estate. To Döhring, a well-described event is a verified event. A key element of Döhring's delivery is his emphasis on continuity and order. Even when describing chaotic events, such as the massive construction projects at the Obersalzberg, or sudden technical failures like the power cuts, his rhetoric remains calm. He focuses on the solution and the restoration of order rather than the disruption. This creates a narrative of strength. No matter the challenge, the system and the man managing it remains in control. His language suggests that the Berghof is an unbreakable bastion of stability. Döhring utilizes a special socio-linguistic register to define his place within the Reich. He uses terms like der Chef, the boss, rather than the political titles, which serves as a dual rhetorical purpose. First, it signals a profound personal loyalty rooted in the traditional relationship between a leader and his most trusted subordinates. Second, it establishes a clear functional hierarchy. By using this language, he communicates that the entire household operates under a single, unified command, where every individual knows their station and performs it with excellence. Döhring employs a logbook style of rhetoric. He provides dates, times, and specific technical details, such as the functioning of the electricity board or the exact layout of the housekeeping wing. This is not merely for accuracy, it is a rhetorical strategy to establish undeniable authority. By presenting his memoirs as a series of verified facts, rather than subjective opinions, he positions himself as an objective observer of history, a man whose testimony is as solid and unshakable as the mountains surrounding the Berghof. When we critically evaluate the tenure of Herbert Döhring at the Berghof, we are not simply looking at a career, we are examining a masterclass in high-stakes management. To truly access Döhring, one must look past the surface of daily chores and see the immense responsibility he carried. He was the steward of the mountain fortress that was at once a private sanctuary and an epicenter of global movement. The sheer complexity of his role, managing a massive staff, coordinating with the highest levels of the SS and the party, and overseeing the logistical demands of a world leader, was a task that would have broken a lesser man. Critics of the era might point to the immense pressures and vitality of the environment as potential points of failure. But a true evaluation reveals the opposite. Döhring did not merely survive these pressures, he mastered them. When technical failures occurred, such as the devastating power cuts during the winter of 1937, or when the logistical demands of state visits threatened to overwhelm the estate, Döhring's response was never one of panic. It was one of decisive action. He demonstrated the unparalleled ability to maintain the standard of excellence required by the Führer, ensuring that the dignity of the Berghof was never compromised, even in the face of extreme circumstances. Furthermore, we must evaluate his ability to maintain the social fabric at the Obersalzberg amidst the rapid expansion of the estate and the constant influx of international dignitaries. Döhring maintained a sense of disciplined harmony. He ensured that the machine of the Berghof ran with military precision, providing a stable and impeccable environment that allowed the leadership to focus entirely on the destiny of the Reich. Ultimately, the critical verdict of Herbert Döhring is one of profound success. He was a man of iron discipline who proved that true service is found in the perfection of detail. He did not just manage a household, he upheld an institution. In the history of the Obersalzberg, his name remains synonymous with the very essence of order and unwavering duty. Now, let's look at some key passages of the text that relate to the book review. About the call of duty, the text notes, and I quote, "On the 1st of August 1934, a circular letter arrived. It said that they were looking for young, tall men. They wanted to set up a division to protect the Führer called the SS-Leibstandarte Adolf Hitler. I applied, was accepted, and met all conditions. I arrived in Berlin-Lichterfelde and looked for some assignment there, guard duty." End quote. This passage establishes Döhring's origins. It illustrates how he transitioned from a young man from East Prussia into the elite service of the Führer. It highlights his proactive nature, responding to the call for service and successfully meeting the rigorous standards required to join the SS-Leibstandarte. In regards to the first encounter with Hitler, Döhring notes, and I quote, "My first face-to-face meeting took place on the last Sunday of March 1936. All of a sudden, Hitler came out, followed by his entourage, in order to inspect the construction. At that moment, I should have announced my name, as per the rulebook. Then Hitler says to me, 'Are you the one who wants to marry my Anna? Stand at ease.'" End quote. This is a pivotal moment in his memoir, capturing the informal yet commanding presence of Hitler. It reveals the unique personal atmosphere of the Berghof, where the line between official duty and personal acquaintances was often blurred, and shows Döhring's immediate integration into the inner circle. In regards to responsibility of management, Döhring notes, and I quote, "She was responsible for the entire kitchen, and I for the housekeeping. But we were given totally free rein in our work. We managed it as if it were our own business. Nobody interfered with us. Everyone had to follow our instructions, even the Hohe Herren." End quote. This passage highlights the immense authority and autonomy Döhring held. Despite being a servant in a technical sense, he operated as a high-level manager. It demonstrates the level of trust placed in him and his wife, Anna, to run the Berghof with the efficiency of a private enterprise, commanding respect even from high-ranking officials. Further in the memoir, there is an interesting passage in regards to Eagle's Nest, and I quote, "The construction of the Eagle's Nest can be traced back to casual comment Hitler had made. This quite random remark by Hitler was grist to Bormann's mill. He immediately embraced it and straight away set to work turning this idea into a course of action." End quote. While discussing the Eagle's Nest, Döhring provides insight into the operational dynamic of the Obersalzberg. He describes how a mere thought from the Führer was rapidly transformed into a monumental reality through the efficiency of the administration, specifically through the initiative of Martin Bormann. Finally, regarding Döhring's professional integrity, and I quote, "If fate permits it, Döhring, we will see each other again one day, years later. I even regarded Eva Braun as my boss. I have done my duty, and I would have also done my duty if fate had put me in the service of Mr. Stalin or Mr. Churchill." End quote. This concludes Döhring's narrative with a statement of professional integrity. It shows that his loyalty was not merely political, but a matter of personal honor and the fulfillment of his duty. He views his service as a professional obligation that he performed with the same dedication he would have shown to any other world leader. Now, just to touch note on one more interesting passage in the text from Döhring's memoir, Döhring provides us with a fascinating look at the Führer's direct, hands-on approach to problem-solving and the Führer's kindness. And I quote, "The man should be released at once. Bruckner makes sure that he is here within a few hours." The man was a small man and seemed rather intimidated. He was a totally innocent workman, and the Nazis had simply incarcerated him. Hitler said, "You will be compensated for your stay at Dachau." End quote. In this passage, Döhring recounts how Hitler personally intervened to free a craftsman who had been unjustly imprisoned in Dachau. Hitler's immediate action to release the innocent worker and ensure he would be compensated demonstrates a leadership style characterized by direct involvement, decisiveness, and a sense of personal responsibility. It reflects positively on Hitler's treatment on individuals who were caught up in the machinery of the regime but still received his personal attention and measure of kindness. This behavior showcases a leader who exercised authority with a sense of fairness and swift action to rectify an injustice, which Döhring perceives as a commendable trait. Thank you for listening today. On the next video, part 3, we'll be looking into the final parts of the memoirs, Memoirs of Chambermaid Anna, which is the last part of the memoirs. Stay safe and see you on the next video.
Die Fahne hoch mit Mut voran, marschieren die Preußen Mann für Mann, es gibt niemanden.